Hello, and welcome to Seajay Creates. I'm Seajay, and I create stuff. This is week 2 of PLZ April, where I'm drawing mega forms for every Pokemon that's supposedly going to mega evolve in Pokémon Legends EA. Last week, we covered 5 excellent megas that turned out pretty great, if I do say so myself. I do want to make sure that for anyone who needs it, this is your spoiler warning. I'm not doing anything related to what these mega forms are supposed to look like according to leaks, but they will all be based on which Pokemon have been leaked to be getting mega forms, so turn back now if you need. I won't be offended. Okay, now that those guys are gone, I'm actually super offended. I mean, what's up with them? No, I'm just kidding. But let's talk day 6 of PLZ April. This kicks off the first of 3 dragon types to get mega forms: Dragalge, Dragonite, and Drampa. I think that these 3 are genuinely beloved dragon type Pokemon. I mean, sure, every Pokemon has its haters, but generally speaking, I love all of these. I remember when Dragalge was first introduced, the first poison dragon type. That was a really big deal, as me and my buddies salivated over every new Pokemon getting released for Gen 6. I mentioned this before, but I never actually played X or Y. I was an Omega Ruby kid. I still could have traded for a Dragalge, I guess, but it just never happened. I don't know. I do love this Pokemon, though, even just from a design perspective. Its moody, poisonous body resembles a disfigured sea dragon. So cool. Oh, I should note, when I say sea dragon, I'm specifically referring to the species of seahorse that Dragalge is based on, not a mythical sea serpent. They're called sea dragons, and they're actually really interesting because they have this move slow and stay camouflage strategy, which to me ties in perfectly to Dragalge's lore as a dangerous sharpshooter who sprays metal-melting acid. In Mega Evolving it, I really just wanted to amplify that camouflage to another level. No longer would it need to hide in the reef or among the kelp, because when this Pokemon is holding still, swaying gently in the current, you may not even notice it. It can quietly watch and wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. I also like to think that since so many of its base Pokédex entries mention melting ships, that whatever military there is in the Pokemon universe has been trying to study and understand this Pokemon, especially its Mega form. Probably to see if it can be weaponized, but also to see if they can't figure out how to acid-proof their ships. Meet Mega Dragalge. Mega Dragalge is the definition of a silent killer. Its body disguises itself perfectly, making it nearly unseeable while it sprays a corrosive poison that disintegrates all indiscriminately. Military forces have been studying this acid, but have found it uncooperative. Now, let's cover one of the original dragon Pokemon, Dragonite. This one is so hard because Dragonite is a fairly blank canvas. More than any other dragon Pokemon, this one is literally just a cartoon dragon. That's not a knock on it at all. I love Dragonite, but it just means I don't have a ton to work with. Sure, I could add a new concept, which is what I usually do when I feel stuck with a Mega Pokemon. But honestly, that felt a little disrespectful to Dragonite. It's classic, and I don't want my Mega to stray too far from what makes it so lovable. That's why I'm going to do something pretty radical. I'm making it really big. Dragonite is actually already pretty big. It stands at over 7 feet or 2 meters tall. And before we talk about how big this Pokemon is going to be, let's talk about why. I think that Dragonite's fantasy as a Pokemon is to have a lovable dragon friend. So rather than add a new concept, let's take that to its ultimate fantasy. For decades we've seen movies, books, all sorts of media really, pitch the idea to children and adults that if you have a pet dragon, you should be able to ride it. Now, as I said, Dragonite is actually pretty big already, and you definitely can ride it at its current size, but tell me that you don't want to ride a dragon that's the size of a school bus. Tell me. Say it right now in the comments. If that's not you, prove it. Maybe it's just me, but that's the kind of experience I want when I think of dragons. Not the horse-sized dragons of How to Train Your Dragon. You just gestured to all of me. Not that stuff. I want something that's like the size of Cloud Jumper or bigger. Not for the sake of like raw power or anything like that. It's just that when I picture a dragon in my head, that's about how big they are. Kind of like a flying dinosaur. So my goal here is to make Dragonite into a massive four-legged, two-winged, Western-style dragon the size of a school bus. It's still your best friend, and now it's just 4 times or more bigger than it used to be. I do think it's pretty funny to do this when Gigantamaxing already exists, but I'm not making Mega Dragonite the size of a skyscraper. It's just bigger than Dragonite is normally. I did feel that it was appropriate to bring back some of the features of Dragonair and Dratini to this design though. I want it to feel like the penultimate Dragonite. You see that it's got the spherical, or at least ovular, gemstones across its chest and on the back of its tail. I also decided to change its wings back to the feathery wings that are present on its pre-evolutions. One reason I really like doing this is because it pulls away from any similarities that Dragonite has to Charizard, and I don't believe that any other Dragon-type Pokemon has wings that look like this. Meet Mega Dragonite. Mega Dragonite's drastic change of appearance and size come with greatly enhanced physical strength. Now the size of a small school bus, this great Pokemon has been known to crash through the defenses of its opponents with little difficulty. Now let's talk about the last of our 3 Mega Dragon Pokemon, at least for this week, Drampa. I absolutely love this goofy Pokemon so much. The idea of this elderly dragon Pokemon is just so fun, and he's absolutely fantastic. I love that all of its Pokédex entries paint this picture of a very friendly dragon who loves children, and if anything harms those children, it will literally burn that thing to the ground in a fit of rage. I mean, it's a little murdery, but it's also very sweet, and I love that about it. Something that I thought was really interesting about Drampa is that it lives at the top of incredibly tall mountains, but they can't find food up there, so they descend down the mountain to feed at dawn every day. It's interesting because it begs the question, what are they doing up there? For me, I decided that this key piece of information, as well as their design, would inform how I believe Mega Drampa would appear. You see, Drampa has white fur all over its body, and I'm sure it's meant to remind you of its age, but when I see it, I can't help but see clouds. This fluffy cloud that Drampa appears to be sitting on made me want to create a dragon of the sun. It'll stay normal dragon type, but soak in the rays of the sun all day long to unleash them as raw dragon energy. In this mega form, it's internally returned a lot closer to its prime power before it was aged, but outwardly it still retains that older appearance. The main differences you'll see are in its extended neck and the appearance of the sun on its back. It's kind of meant to look like it's peeking out from behind the clouds. I will say, I love how this design looks, but it's kind of funny looking back because its neck is even longer than it appears here. It's almost like there's 2 parts to this design, where if you just cut it at the base of what looks like the neck ending, and then go another 3 feet to the right, that's where the neck actually ends. That's how long it really is. I thought that it was a good balance to my more Western dragon in Dragonite, and really leaned into some of the more traditional inspirations we might see in an Eastern dragon. Now, it does still have these kind of wing hands, which definitely aren't traditional, and I've given it other little wings that, again, not even close, but I think that overall, it's a really good mix of what Drampa was and turning it into kind of this penultimate sun dragon deity, right? I really think it looks and feels powerful and loses a little bit of that friendliness that Drampa inherently has, but for the better. Meet Mega Drampa. Mega Drampa shockingly retains its normal typing. Despite this, it is said to have the power of the sun flowing within its body. It is thought that this comes from a long life of absorbing the sun's rays, which can now be channeled into incredibly strong breath attacks. Next up on the list, Mega Emboar. I actually already made a Mega Emboar design in response to the first real trailer that we got for Pokémon Legends EA a little while back. I did the same for Feraligatr and Meganium 2, and I was torn to how I should treat them for this challenge. Ultimately, I decided that rather than redesign all of them again, I just wanted to bring them into the art conventions I've been using for this challenge. Things like thinner line work and that fancy rainbow outline I've been giving all the Mega forms to match the new shader they've added to the Mega Pokemon in Legends EA. I won't give you the full rundown of Mega Emboar. If you want that, go check out the original video. Instead, I'm just going to give you a brief overview. My Mega Emboar is a product of me hyperfixating on a single detail of the original Pokemon, its arms. Emboar's arms have ears in the base form. Don't believe me? Then explain these weird little tufts, huh? 2 on each arm? Interesting. I really think they're supposed to be ears. I decided to blow this way out of proportion and say that when the Mega Fire Pig Pokemon Mega evolves, those ears manifest as full bore heads, and its tail gets a little head as well. Its flaming cape burns with an unnatural and dark strength, a product of the newfound evil power, perhaps? I kind of like the idea that these heads do, like, breathe and stuff, so they're conscious, but they're really still just hands. That's something I've kind of gone back and forth with since I created this design, but I guess I don't know. What do you think? Cooler if these heads are separate beings that cooperate together, or would you prefer that they're all still hands but can also shoot fire out of their mouth, palm areas? Meet Mega Emboar. Mega Emboar appears to have 4 different heads that are all sentient and able to think for themselves. Despite this, they're often well coordinated and able to dish out intense fiery attacks in multiple directions at the same time. Mega Emboar's flaming cape burns so hot that some water-based attacks may not even reach the Pokemon before evaporating. This fire burns with unnatural energy. Now let's talk about what to me was one of the most surprising additions to the Mega Pokemon roster. I'm very, very happy about it, but just really surprised. Excadrill is one of my favorite Pokemon in my playthrough of White, so I'm glad to see the love that Gen 5 is getting. By my count, we're getting 4 Mega Pokemon from Gen 5, compared to, I think, just 1 originally, that being Mega Audino. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, I probably am. Regardless, Excadrill is so cool. This, for me, has always been an example of a Pokemon that is kind of a plain design, but its concept and fantasy carries so much of the weight. The fact that it can bring its hands to its face and turn its entire body into a drill is just incredible. I love it. For my Mega Excadrill, I really just wanted to take this to the next level. Did you know that according to Pokédex entries, this Pokemon, not Mega Evolved, just normal, can burrow tunnels at 90 miles per hour? That's insanity! I mean, that means that my Mega form needs to be the ultimate drilling machine. Nothing less is acceptable. That's why we're doubling the drills and doubling their size. Mega Excadrill's body has a drill that envelops its legs and lower torso. This drill is always spinning, and Mega Excadrill will stand on it while above ground. Admittedly, I was a little nervous about going this route because Mega Slowbro already has a similar silhouette, but that's why so much of Excadrill's body remains exposed and why we have the second drill. On each arm, you can see that Excadrill's claws have fused together into giant half-drills, leaving this Pokemon's head out of the equation. It no longer needs a headpiece to form a drill. Now that it has 2 drills, they each rotate independent of each other, allowing this Pokemon to change direction quickly while burrowing and dig tunnels even larger and faster than before. I imagine that now it burrows at a ridiculous speed of, let's say, 150 miles per hour, and it digs complex networks of tunnels that ran underneath the city and at times have even needed to be stabilized to prevent structural collapse. This thing is a workhorse and loves one thing, and that's digging tunnels. Meet Mega Excadrill. Mega Excadrill's body is separated into 2 halves that rotate independent of each other. This allows Mega Excadrill to quickly change direction while tunneling and build more complex nests. It can travel through solid earth at speeds of over 150 miles per hour. And last, but definitely not least, for week 2 of PLZ April, let's talk Mega Falinks. Interestingly enough, Mega Falinks is one of 3 post-Gen 6 Pokemon to get Mega Evolutions. This includes Drampa, Falinks, and the last one, not to spoil, but I'm gonna spoil it anyways, Zeraora, or Zeraora, I don't know how to say it. Somebody correct me, put it in the comments, I don't know. Either way, I really like that we're getting new Mega Pokemon representation as well, not just Gens 1 through 6, and I think Falinks is an excellent candidate for Mega Evolution. It's an interesting concept already, 6 Pokemon that act as one unit and are allowed to battle as such. I know we've got the same thing with Mousehold, but at the time when this came out, really unheard of. If you don't know, there's one that marches out in front and it can grow its horn in different sizes in order to basically give directions to the rest of its platoon, and it's called the Brass in all of its Pokédex entries. Well, for my design, really only the Brass itself is going to Mega Evolve, and the other 5 members of Falinks, so the Falink, how would you say just one Falink? Somebody give me an answer. I don't know. Well, I'll just call them Falinks still. The other 5 Falinks are going to form other parts of this Mega Pokemon's body. Now, you're going to look at my design, and you're going to get counting, and you're going to do some quick math and realize one of them is not visible in the drawing. That's okay. It's because of the concept that I'm using to Mega Evolve this Pokemon. I love the idea that Falinks can control that red horn on the top of its head and grow it to different sizes. But what if it could manipulate it further? I think it would be so cool if these different units each took turns filling out the end of this Pokemon's arms. One can use that horn to form a shield, one a sword, maybe one a bow, one an axe, and another one like a spear. Anything that you imagine getting used in battle, that's what the individual units are meant to be. And that's why one of them's still on the back. It's kind of sheathed and watching this big unit's back for it, able to signal it if something's coming from behind, which helps retain the teamwork aspect that's already existent within Falinks' original design. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the actual Mega Pokemon when they come out. Like I said, I'm not reading leaks about what they're going to look like, but I don't know what else you could really do with Falinks. I hope that the Pokemon Company takes this in a completely different direction, something I'd never see coming, but I think this will probably be pretty close to what we end up getting, but we'll just have to see. Meet Mega Falinks. Mega Falinks is a unique Mega Evolution because only one of its 6 unit evolves, the Brass. The remainder link together to form arms or sit on the Brass's back. Each unit can expand its horn into a unique weapon to fight with. And that wraps up week 2 of PLZ April. Let me know what you think of these Mega Evolutions in the comments. Do you think they're going to be close, like I think with my Falinks, or do you think I'm way off on these designs? Or do you just hate them outright? Honestly, any feedback is good feedback, and I want to know what you think. If you did like them, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If we, during the month of April, can get me over 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to draw your favorite Pokemon new Mega Forms. So subscribe, and maybe your favorite Pokemon will get a form. It would be awesome, and I would love to do it. Until then, thank you.